भीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथामृतं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. So welcome to the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu Southern Division, the fifth wave, which is a Sthāyi Bhav. So we have completed the discussion on the Mukyarati, which has these two types, which is the Swartha and the Parartha, within which there is Shuddha, and Shuddha has these three divisions. It's not two types, the two roles it can take on. The Mukrati can take on two roles, which is self-nourishing and supports the secondary emotions, the Parartha. The secondary emotions are the Gaun emotions, the Gaun Ratis. And within this, there is Shuddha, Samanya, Swachha, and Shanta. And then there is Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya. Within that, there is Kevala and Sankula. Kevala is unmixed with other types of Rati. Sankula is mixed with two or three kinds, but one will be prominent, but it is mixed. But in Madhurya, there is only exclusive Madhurya, that's why separately discussed. And in the last class, if you remember, we started with the discussion on the Gaunarati. And Rupa Goswami defines what is Gaunarati. When the emotional state arising from the excellence of Alamba Vibhava manifests while the primary Rati subdues, then it is secondary Rati. So this is the general definition of a Gaun Rati. There is the Mukhya Rati which has to be there, and it gets subdued because of the excellence of the Alamban, the Vishaya Alamban, which is Krishna. And then when the primary is subdued, at that time, that emotional state can be Hasya, Krodha, or whatever it is, then that becomes the Gauna Rati. And then there are these 7 which we discussed. And then because these Gauna are under the control of the primary and Krishna is the cause, Vibhavatvam, Krishna cause, Vibhav, the cause of relishing rasa. Vibhav becomes the cause the vibhav stimulates the Sthāyi bhav. Sthāyi bhav has to be there, but vibhav becomes the cause. So these first six, Krishna is the cause. But the seventh, Jugupsa, no, the material body or other things. That's what he makes it clear. And these seven bhavas are different from the Swartaratis composed of Shuddha Sattva. But when these seven emotions are conjoined with the primary, which takes a secondary role as Parartha, the word Rati has been used. That is why the word Rati has been used for these Gaun Ratis also. And then Rup Goswami says when Hasya predominates over the Mukrati, then it is called Hasya. Then you can understand the other second Ratris also like that. When Krodha predominates the Mukyarati, then it is called Krodharati. So that's how he defines. These emotions, the Hasya and the other emotions, take on a beautiful forms by the influence of the primary Rati. So that's what I was mentioning, that the primary Rati has to be there. I was giving this example in the garden, morning, who go for a walk, there is a laughter exercise. This laugh will make you, will make Maya laugh, that you're coming near to that. But that laugh, when there is a primary Rati in Krishna, that actually, laugh is coming from the soul. So that laugh nourishes the rasa in exchange in spiritual mellows. So it is in a particular devotee, in a particular pastime, and it remains for some time. That is why they are called, considered as Sahidams, because it remains for some time. That's the point Rupa Goswami makes. And they remain for some time. They are not fixed in a particular person. And these seven emotions appear spontaneously. They disappear, being covered by the contrary bhavas arising from the primary rati. Again, he makes it very clear. So these are all verses which make the things clear. And when the primary rati in its essential form, Swa Swarupata, does not leave the devotee, it is considered to be continuous or Atyantiki Sthāyi Bhav. And this is present in all devotees. With that continuous Sthāyi Bhav, all of the bhavas such as Has are dysfunctional. So there is the Sthāyi Bhav which is permanent, situated. It doesn't change. Mother Yashoda's Sthāyi Bhav is permanent. It is Vatsalya only. It doesn't change to Madhurya. And then, and though these secondary bhavas become Sthāyi Bhavas in the enemies of Krishna, they are not suitable for Bhakti Rasa because they don't have primary Rasa. So that's what he makes it clear. In that case, the 33 Vabhichari Bhavs also, they are not contaminated with the hostile emotions. And they also disappear after some time. But still they are not classed as Sthāyi Bhavs. The reason is, we discussed, the Vabhichari Bhavs do not leave impression, whereas the Gaun Rasas leave an impression. So that's what we had made it very, very clear. And then further he clarifies that, some persons consider Mati, Garva and other Vabhichari Bhavs to be Sthāyi Bhavs, but they are not classed. Only these seven are classified as Sthāyi Bhavs, that to Gaun. And he gives authority of Bharata Muni. And these seven secondary emotions, they get nourished by Vibhav, Anubhav, Satvika Bhav, Vabhichari Bhavs, and take up the status of the Sthāyi Bhavs in the devotees. And they produce taste, ruchi. And then Rupa Goswami further says, in a devotee, one of the five primary Sthāyi Bhavas and seven secondary Bhavas together make 8 Bhavas, produce lasting impressions. I mentioned, these 7 Gaun Bhavas, Gauniratis, they produce impressions. Even though they externally disappear for some time, they produce impressions. Whereas the Vabhichari Bhavs also, take on the Mukhya for some time, but they produce impressions. They don't stay, they don't stay. They disappear with the Vebhichari Bhav. Since the impressions of the Vebhichari Bhavs disappear after they are covered by these eight, the Vebhichari Bhavs are not considered to be Sthāyi Bhavs. So that is what he makes it very, very clear here in this verse. And then we went into the Hasyarati definition. Hasyarati is what? Cheta Vikaso Hasya. The Cheta Vikas, the cheerfulness of the heart. You know, nobody can be cheerful as long as one is not on the transcendental position. So that cheerfulness will manifest because of the being situated in the transcendental position. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavat bhakti yogata. And there is irregularity of speech, dress, actions. It is called hasya. And the symptoms are opening of the eyes fully. I could not still find proper picture which I was looking for. There is a quivering of nose, lips, and cheeks. Yeah, this picture we showed you, if you remember. And then uh, when hasya arises from actions related to Krishna and the primary assumes a subdued role, hasya becomes hasyarati. So hasya becomes hasyarati. So this is how Rupa Goswami defines hasyarati. And then we saw example beautiful in the Krishna Leela. You know, one of the gopis is smelling the mouth of Krishna coming near, whether he has eaten butter. And Jatila comes in, and then Krishna is saying, I have not eaten, why you are accusing me like that? And another gopi who was guarding the butter, she goes into laughter. So very, very beautiful pastime was mentioned. So now we are going to go to, we have discussed Hasya and we have discussed Vismay Rati. Vismay is something unusual. Lokottarartha Vikshade. The mind may inquire, what is this? Chitta Visrita. This disposition is called Vismay, wonder. Vismay. Adbhut, we must say. Adbhut Rasa also it is called Vismaya. But in Sanskrit, the term which has been used by Rupa Goswami is Vismayrati. And what happens? There is a widening of eyes. Yeah, this picture I was looking for, I could not find it. Uttering of the words, very good, sadhukti, and standing of hairs on end, pulkadaya. And the relation of Vismay to Vismayarati is the same as Hasya to Hasya Rati. So we saw this and we saw, the example when Krishna was in the form of, expanded in the form of all the Gopas, he showed his uh, Chaturbhuj form, the Narayan form, four-handed form. And then, what is this? What is this? Brahma is astonished. So this is the Vismaya Rati. So now today let's begin with the Utsaha Rati. This is a very, very interesting discussion and we'll have to understand it very, very careful. Utsaha Rati. Steyasi sadubhi slagyapale yuddhadi karmani satvara manasasaktir utsa iti kirtyate. Firmness, stayasi. Staya means situated steadily. And immediate attachment of the mind. Manasasaktir, to activities such as battle. So there is firmness, there is an attachment of the mind to what? Battle. Charity, compassion, and dharma. Yuddhadi karmani. So yuddha adi, so yuddha is battle, adi all refer to charity, compassion, and dharma. So this is what is actually Utsarati, whose results, Slagyafale, are praised by the saintly person. Sadhubi Satvara is called Utsa. Utsa iti kirtyate. Now, anyone knows, what is the kind of rasa which is relished, especially in the battle, which is called, which is that rasa, which is relished in a battle? Anyone? Raise your hands. Who knows this? Krishna Prabhuji, Sudhanshu, Shrishti Gupta Mataji. Yes.
Veer Rasa Prabhuji.
Yes, it is Veer Rasa. Excellent. So you can see now, actually Veer Rasa is coming within Utsarati. And anyone knows in Dharma, also there is Utsarati, and where it is defined, the definition of Utsarati, where does Rupa Goswami give uh, in uh, in one of his works? Anyone knows? Let's understand this. Who knows this? Sudhanshu Prabhuji, yes. Yes, Prabhuji.
So it is Sahat Nishyadharya section.
Yes. Can you repeat a little loudly, please? I could not hear you very clearly.
Utsahat Nishyadharya
Yes. Utsa nishchay dhairya tat tat karma pravartanat sangatyaga shato vrittir shadbir bhaktir vinashyati. So when Rup Goswami is speaking in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu about Utsa, that is pure enthusiasm. It's not the false Utsa Mahi. Utsa Mahi is false confidence. When the heart is not pure, and there are anarthas because of papa and aprada and sukritutta anarthas, duskritutta anarthas, apratutta anarthas, then, one day we have enthusiasm to chant 16 rounds, another day we are down. We can't even chant 2 rounds. So that's not Utsarati then. It's Utsamai. But there is firmness because of attachment, immediate attachment of the mind to Krishna. Two activities of dharma also. So that's as good as attachment to Krishna. So even this Utsarati, in the form of following of dharma, Rup Goswami is speaking about that is the sign of pure devotion. Please remember, that is the sign of pure devotion. And I'm just taking you to Ublesh Amrit, where Prabhupada defines what is Utsa. Anyone knows? Raise your hands. Prabhupada defines what is Utsa there. Anyone knows? How does Prabhupada define Utsa? Anyone knows? In the Upadeshamrit, how does Prabhupada define Utsa? How does he define Utsa? Prabhupada says, endeavor executed with intelligence. With intelligence, he says, is Utsa. Very, very profound. Yeah, endeavor executed with intelligence in Krishna consciousness is called Utsa or enthusiasm. The devotee finds the correct means by which everything can be utilized in the service. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagam. The execution of devotional service is not a matter of idle meditation, but practical action in the foreground of spiritual life. So this is a very beautiful and profound definition of Utsa, Prabhupada is saying. So this is Utsa in Dharma, where the mind is attached to performing the Dharma in the form of for us, dharma means here the Sanatan Dharma, which is the dharma of the soul, the Jaiva Dharma. So this is how, compassion, compassion also, what does Arjuna say in the Gita? When Krishna ends in the 6th chapter, describing about that yogi, very interesting. What does, Atmaupena sarvatra samam pashyati Arjuna sukam va yadi va dukam sa yogi paramo mata. By compares Atma with the self, anupena pena, by comparison. Sarvatra samam pashyati, He is a perfect yogi by comparison, also sees the true equality of all beings in both happiness and distress. So this kind of compassion. So Prabhupada in the purport makes it a very important point. Uh, okay, I'm not able to. One who is a Krishna conscious is everyone's. Yeah, he is aware of everyone's happiness and distress by his own personal exhibit. The cause and the happiness is knowing the supreme. I think so. It's not because a person is tries to dispute and Krishna consciousness. Yeah, Baldev Vidyabhushan in his commentary makes that point. I'm just going to, and even Vishwanath Chakra Thakur. I'll just, because it's very important for us to understand this Utsa, which is a Rati. I'll just share exactly what Baldev Vidyabhushan has to say. Give me a minute, please. This is very important for us to understand. Baldev Devotion makes a very, very insightful. Yes. No, not Baldev Devotion. It is, I think, Vishwanath Chakra Thakur itself, I think it is not Baldev Vidyabhushan. Also, Vishwanath Chakra Thakur makes a very, let me see. Hmm. Yeah, basically the point, I'm not able to exactly locate it. The point is that Arjuna says, I cannot maintain this compassion of seeing others' distress and happiness equal to mine. Maybe it will stay for 2, 3 days, he says, 2, 3 days. It might stay for 2, 3 days, but it will not last for long. Again, that my, you know, Kshatriya spirit will not allow me. So my point was there's this compassion also. There is constant. The compassion is constant. It's not that sometime, our heart melts because of some situation. We are, the earthquake happens or the COVID happens and we become a little humbled and we become a little serious. When things are normal, again, we come back to our. So all these battle, charity, compassion, dharma, there is firmness because of attachment to do these activities. And this is praised by the saintly person. So that's a point which I just wanted to make about this utsaha. Yudadi means fighting, charity, compassion, and righteous acts, dharma. Instead of yudadi, swabhishta charisht is sometimes seen. Note, these different types of utsaha are explained in the section dealing with secondary rasas. So, when you go to the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu northern division, the fourth division, that is the northern division, in that the third wave, Tritiya Lahari, is Utsaha. The first Lahari is, of course, Hasyarati, The second is Vismerati. So the third is the Utsarati. So there, all these is quite detailed discussed. That's what Rupa Goswami is saying here. Okay, now he further clarifies with this verse. He makes a further clarification. In this state, tatra, impulsiveness, kalana vekshanam, not looking back in time, impatience and eagerness manifest. Dhairya, tyagodhyam, tyagodhyama adaya. So in this state, impulsiveness, impatience and eagerness manifest. Utsa relates to Utsarati in the same way Hasya relates to Hasya Lati. So that's what he makes it a little clear. When one is having Utsa, there is, you don't look back like a warrior, never looks back. He never shows his back. One who shows his back, then he's lacking that Utsarati. So that's what. And there is eagerness. There is the outkanta. When, kabe hobe, se din amar. So like that, when will I get up in the morning and chant my rounds? So that is, and that is there every day. So that is, that is a kind of eagerness which is there. Okay, now he gives an example. When the air resounded with the sound of Nikvaner iha mukari krita ambarayam, the flute, horn, and patra. Patra Shringavamshi, blades of grass on the bank of Yamuna, Kalindi Tatapuvi, Sridhama, desiring to fight Yuddhakama with Krishna, Agadamanena, began roaring, Vispurjan, and bound up his waist firmly. Parikaram Udbhatam Babanda. So when there was the resounding of the flute, horn, and the patra, the Vamshi, Vamshi is the flute, and Shringa is the horn. Patra, I don't know what is Patra. Maybe in the bracket it is given Patra, of course, Patram, Pushpam is a blade of grass, but how, I don't know, using that they were making noise. So when there was this resounding of these all these instruments, Sridhama desiring to fight with Krishna began roaring and he bound up his waist. So there is Utsarati here, and we see in the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Sainya Nireksha Yoga, the verses explain, the enthusiasm of the Kauravas first when Bhishma blew his conch shell, and then the enthusiasm of the Pandavas is also shown. So I'm just sharing a little bit so that we get a more clear insight. So in the Bhagavad Gita, in the first chapter, this is the Utsaha. Tata Shankascha Bhairyascha Panamanaka Gomaka Sahasai Bhavaya Sahasai Abhyanta Sa Shabdas Tumalo Bhavat. So this is the enthusiasm. There was a tumultuous sound of the conch shells, drums. The enthusiasm of the Pandavas is shown there. And then the enthusiasm of the this was the enthusiasm of the Pandavas when Bhishma, who was on the side of the Kauravas, blew his conch shell and announced, the war is going to begin. Duryodhan became joyful. His heart, there was joy, and all his, his side of the army, all these soldiers started blowing all their conch shells. First, the commander-in-chief has to blow his conch shell. So that happened. Then the utsaha of the Pandavas is shown. Tata Shveter Hayaryukte Mahati Sandane Sito Madhava Pandavaschaiva Divyo Shanko Pradammuta. And which others? Panchajanyam Rishikesho Devadatta Janjanjaya Poundram Dabdo Mahashankam Bhima Karma Vrikodara. So after first, Krishna blows his conch shell. Although if you see technically, Drishtadumna is the commander-in-chief. He should blow. So, but then Krishna is the leader, he blows, and then Dhananjaya, Devadatta is his, and then Poundram. Poundram is the big Shanka of Bhima. And then, Ananta Vijaya is the Shank of the Yudhishthira Maharaj, Nakula and Sughosha, Manipushpa. They had their names, all these, So the enthusiasm of the Pandavas is shown here. And hearing this, Sa Gosho Dhatarashtran Hridayani Vidarayat Nabascha Prithvim Chaiva Tumulo Ab Anunadayan. So here, hearing this sound of the conch shells, the enthusiasm of the, Kauravas became dull or, weakened. But the enthusiasm of the Pandavas went stronger because Krishna was there on their side. So like that, so this is the enthusiasm in the Yuddha Rasa, which is actually Utsa Rasa. It is actually in Utsa it is coming. Chivalry, Prabhupada is saying. Chivalry is what the term Prabhupada uses. Again, chivalry can be referred to specifically the Veera Rasa in battle, but it comes under Utsa. On the bank of Yamuna, once there was a crackling sound of dry leaves. See, Prabhupada is making that, why patra? There's a crackling sound of dry leaves, giggling from the cowherd boys and the thundering from the sky. Sridhar was tightening his belt to fight with Krishna, the conqueror of Demon, Aga. This is an instance of chivalry in ecstatic love. Now, the next one. The next one is Shokarati. So, if you have any questions, you're free to raise your hands. I'm just going to the next one now. We have discussed the Utsa. Now the Shokarati. This is the fourth one, the fourth secondary. Shokastva ishta viyogadesh chitta klesha bhavasmrita vilapa pata niswasa mukha shosha brahmadikrit purvokta vidhane vayam siddha shokaratir bhave. Intense pain in the heart. Chitta klesha bhava. In the chitta, in the heart, there is klesha. Not the trivida klesha. The klesha is in separation from Krishna. Arising from separation from a dear one with thoughts that the beloved has perished. Ishta vihogadesha is called shoka, lamentation. Shokastu sprita. In this state, wailing, vilapa, falling on the ground, pata. Pata means to fall, nipata. Heavy breathing, nishvasa, drying of the mouth, mukashosha, and confusion manifests, brahmadikrit. Shok has the same relation to shokrati, shokratir bhavet, as hasya to hasya. Purvukta vidhaneva siddha. So this shoka is also there in this material world when, we become separated from our beloved, but that doesn't give rise to shokarati. But in Krishna, it gives rise to Shokrati because it is springing from the primary Rati in the form of Vatsalya or Madhurya or Sakya, whatever it is. That actually internally nourishes us. You know. So that is why there is difference between the two. Okay, Jiva Goswami on this. Chitta Klesha Bhava means intense pain in the heart arising from thoughts that one's beloved has perished. Note, if there were only intense pain in separation, it would be self-centered. So this is the difference between the spiritual viraha, lamentation, shoka, and the material. The material is self-centered. Yata Shri Dashami. So this is from the 10th canto. When the force of dust storm, Pamsu Varshe Vege, in the wind subsided, Pavana Upharata, Yashoda's friends and other gopis, Tatra Gopyo, approached Mother Yashoda, hearing her, Anu Nishamya, pitifully crying, Ruditam, not seeing Krishna present, Anupalabhya Nandasunu, they too felt very much aggrieved and joined Mother Yashoda in crying. Brisham Anutapta Dio, their eyes full of tears. Ashru Purna Mukha. So this is, anyone knows which pastime is being discussed here? Which pastime? Anyone knows? Anyone knows which pastime this is referring to? Which is the pastime? Anyone? Which pastime is this referring to? Vinita Mataji, yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pranam. Prabhuji, could it be Kalyanag during the Kalyanag?
Kalyanag. Okay, no. Yes, Sudhanshu Prabhu.
So I was also thinking of Kalyana.
Kalya. Okay, Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pranam. Is it Trinavat?
Trinavat. Okay, it's Trinavat. So the sorry, I'm just sharing the 10th canto 7th chapter is killing of the demon Primant, because that storm came, na, and Krishna was missing. And when Mother Yashoda saw, after this dust storm, the winds had subsided, and the Mother Yashoda could not see Krishna. So when she could not see Krishna, she felt very aggrieved and started crying, and all the gopis also followed that. Prabhupada, lamentation. In the 10th canto, 7th chapter, verse 25, Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a description of Krishna being taken away by the whirlwind demon Trinavat. As Krishna was being thus carried up in the sky, all the gopis began to cry aloud. They approached Mother Yashoda, stating that they could not find the son of Nanda. He had been taken away by a whirlwind. This is an instance of lamentation in ecstatic love. So the lamentation, as I was mentioning, is quite different. The spiritual lamentation compared to the material lamentation. The spiritual lamentation is eternal rasa in relation to the soul. And that is why there is internal nourishment in that lamentation. There is the deep separation. There is a deep union also happening. That is why it is called as Vipralamba Yoga. That separation. There is union also. So when Mother Sita was abducted by Ravana, Lord Ram was lamenting. Externally, it looked like, he's like attached, person, attached to his wife. He was madly asking the trees. There is confusion, as this verse is mentioning, right? But in the heart, there is the experience of the Vipralamba, bhava, the Vipralamba bhava, separation. So this is the highest, and this is the pinnacle of the rasa, which is exhibited in Golok Vrindavan, especially not in Mathura or in of course the Mathura Vasis also feel that, but it is in its pinnacle in Krishna, in the Sambhog and Vipralamba. These two separations, the devotees are going through entire night. The sakas are feeling separation from Krishna. They are going through this. In the morning they become very enthusiastic, because now we are going to go to the forest, so there is Sambhog. In the night the gopis are in Sambhog, but in the daytime when he goes to the forest, they feel the Vipralamba. So like that, Mother Yashoda in the night is also having this opportunity for relishing the Sambhog with Krishna, but then when he goes to the forest, she feels the separation. So, but in specific instances when there is intense lamentation, shoka, that is what is being discussed here. Yathava, another example. My heart did not become shattered. Hridayam na vidiryate vida. On seeing Krishna, avalokya tanayam. Dearer than 1,000 lives. Prana sahastra vallabham. Bound up by Kalya. Fanindra yatintram. How hard is my heart? Dig imam martyatano Katho Ratam. So here, when Krishna is in the coils of Kalia, Krishna is dearer to them like more than 1,000 lives. And he's bound. And, my heart is still not shattered. So this is the lamentation they are feeling. And these are the emotions which are being expressed. Okay, Jiva Goswami says that actually this verse is spoken by Yashoda. Yashoda is speaking this verse. And in this verse, Yashoda criticizes herself. Okay, so this is regarding the Shokarati. The next is Krodarati. Okay, Prabhupada, what he says on this. When Krishna was fighting with Kaliya, Mother Yashoda exclaimed, Krishna is now entrapped within the hoods of Kaliya snake, and yet I am not tattered to pieces. So I must admit how wonderful is the persevering power of this material body. Okay, this is another instance of lamentation in ecstatic love. Okay, now let's come to Krodarati. Pratikolaadivischitta jwalanam krodha iryate parushya bhruvo kuti netra lohityadi vikarakrit. Flaming up of the heart from encountering opposition. There is a flaming, the heart is flaming in heat. Heat means, krodha, anger, rajaguna, because of heat. Pratikulaadivish chitta jwalanam. Jwalanam means, burning. It's called krodha or anger. Krodha iryate. In this state, rough behavior, paurusha, frowning, bhru kuti, and reddening of the eyes manifest. Netra lohityadi vikar. Lohit means red. And now further, Rupa Goswami clarifies in this verse. Evam purvoktavat siddham vidu krodha ratim buddha dvidaso Krishna tad vairi bhavatvena kirtita. Krodrati arises from krodha. Vidu krodaratim buddha. In the same way as hasirati arises from hasya. Evam purvaktavat siddham. It has two types. Dvidaso. Now, in this krodrati, there are two types. What is that? Where the stimulus of krodrati is bhavatvena kirtita Krishna. When the krodrati is Krishna, then there is one type, and where the stimulus is the enemy of Krishna, tadvairi. So the krodh arising from the stimulus of Krishna is one, but from the stimulus of enemy of Krishna is another. So there are these two types. Now, anger stimulated by Krishna. Ata Krishna vibhava yata. When Jatila recognized Jatila Parichitya, Radha's shining pearl necklace, Radhika Manisaram, around the throat of Krishna, Kanta Simani Harer Dviti Bhajam, she frowned ferociously, Vikata Bruhu, and glanced at Krishna, Tam Chirena Dadarsha, in a terrifying manner, Bhanga Bhimattara Drishti. So this is a beautiful pastime. Now, all these I mentioned, if I don't know whether I mentioned the Upadeshamrit. The Upadeshamrit is actually the summary of the science of emotion. It's just the summary of the science of emotions. Emotions means the bhakti ras. And the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu is actually the detailed discussion. It's not the summary. It's entire detailed discussion of the science of emotions. But there is the Vidagdha Madhava and the Lalita Madhava. These are dramas where there is emotions which are in action. There are emotions which are in action. So again, I'm trying to search for that specific. There is a beautiful picture, of Jatila frowning at Krishna. I'm just searching for it. In fact, give me a minute. Let me search for this. These are very, very interesting pictures which actually exhibit and make it very clear. See. It's not there in the or Krishna art pictures. It is part of, I think. Anyway, I will definitely search for this picture. If anyone else also finds Jatila, becoming angry on Krishna, it's a very famous picture which I have also come across, but I'm not able to. Uh, I've also not. I've seen it definitely. I have seen it. It is a very famous. So the point what I was trying to make was that the emotions and actions is the dramas like Vidagdha Madhava and Lalita Madhava. And there, there is exchange of rasa which is happening. There's the exchange of rasa which is happening. So here in these actual leelas, you can see that rasa exchange happening. But Rupa Goswami is quoting one of these, and I don't know again from where this references. I don't know, maybe it is from the Vidag Madhava or the Lalit Madhava. But the point what I wanted to make is that Updeshamrit is just a summary of the science of emotions. Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu is the detailed study of the science of emotions. That's why Prabhupada titles Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu as the complete science of Prabhupada's title said the complete science of pure devotional service, he says. The complete science of pure devotional service. Prabhupada, the title for one second, let me see what is the exact title Prabhupada used. Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita. The complete science of Bhakti Yoga, the summary study of real yoga. So the complete science of Bhakti Yoga Prabhupada. So it's a complete study. So the whole science of emotions is given. The summary of emotions is Updeshamrit. The science of emotions is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And the emotions and actions are the dramas like Lalit Madhav and Vidat Madhav. We are not qualified to much study these dramas because it requires one has to be on the very elevated platform. But we are qualified to study Updesh Amrit and Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, and one should repeatedly study these works. Then slowly, we can relish. Okay, now let's see the commentary of Jeev Goswami on this. Jatila played the role of the mother-in-law of Radha. Her anger manifested from Rati directed towards Krishna. In attempting to thwart the relationship between her daughter-in-law and Krishna, she acts for the pleasure of Krishna, and thus the anger is not material. So this, relishes rasa. It increases the rasa, and that's why her anger is not the anger, which is manifested materially, but it is spiritual anger. This should be understood in other similar instances also. Prabhupada speaks about the same. When Jatila, the mother of Abhini, saw Krishna wearing a necklace, she could understand that the jeweled ornament had been given to him by Radharani. She therefore became absorbed in anger and began to move her eyebrows, expressing her anger in ecstatic love. Tad vairi vibhava. Anger stimulated by an enemy. When the blazing forest fire, Ugradave Tivra Heti Bhaji, who was actually the brother of Kamsa, Ata Kamsa Sahodara. Actually, that blazing forest fire was a demon who was a brother of Kamsa, surrounded Krishna, Harim Abhyudati, a frown of anger. Ra, Ra Basad Bhrukuti appeared on Abud, the forehead of Balram. Ali ka Amber Pralamba Dvisato. Pralamba Dvisato means, Dvishito, not Dvisato. Dvishi means enemy. Pralamba's enemy is Balram. Ali ka Ambare. That means it appeared on the Ali ka Ambar, the forehead of Balram, like a cloud bank in the sky. Payoda Reka. There was a cloud bank in the sky, like that. So that is a comparison. Heti means a weapon of or flame. Alika means forehead. So that's it. Now the next one is the Bhaya Rati. So this is the Bhaya Rati now, which we're going to discuss. Ata Bhaya Rati. Bhayam chittadi chanchalyam mattu ghore kshanadibhi atmagopana richosha vidrava brahmanadikrit. When the heart manifests extreme unsteadiness, chittadi chanchalyam, bhaya, when there is fear, then there is extreme unsteadiness. After committing offense or seeing fearful creatures, mantu, ghor, ikshanadibi, it is called bhaya, fear. In this state, the attempt to hide oneself, atmagopanam, when you're fearful, you start hiding, drying up the heart, Richosha, fleeing, Vidrava, and confusion manifest. Brahmanadikrit. Nishpannam purvat idam Buddha bhayaratim vido Eshapi krodaratitvat dvivida katita Buddhe. The wise say that fear is related to bhayarati. Sorry, not fear. Yeah, fear we say, but bhaya is the Sanskrit word. The wise say that Bhaya is related to Bhayarati. Buddha Bhayaratim Vidu. Just as Has is related to Hasati. Sampanna Purvad Idam. As with Krodhrativad, Bhaya has two types. Eshapi Dvida Katita Buddha. Bhaya whose cause is Krishna and Bhaya whose cause is the enemy of Krishna. So Bhaya has these two also again. Krishna is the cause of fear. When Krishna, Shaurina, asked Yachita Akrur, Gadini Sutta, for the Samantak jewel, Samantakam, in the assembly of in a friendly way, Sadasi. Akrura was hiding the jewel in his clothing, Vastra Gudam Maner, could not answer Mudadhis. He became fearful of Krishna. Patami Bhi, understanding that Krishna knew he was hiding the jewel, Esha. His mouth dried up, Atra Shushyad Adhara, and became sad. Klamam Yayo. So this is fear directly because the cause is Krishna. Krishna asked Akrura, the Samantak, in a very friendly way asked. And he was hiding that jewel in his clothes and he did not answer. So he became fearful of Krishna and he knew that Krishna knows, that he's hiding the jewel. And that's why his mouth dried up and he became sad. Enemy of Krishna is the cause of fear. When Vriyasura, like a storm cloud, Varidi Nibhe, rode in the frightening manner. Bhairavam Bruvati Antahanta, at the entrance of Gokula Dware, Yashoda, Rajeshwari, thinking of protection of her son, Putra Gupti Drita Yatna Vaibhava, began to tremble. Kampra Murtir Abhavat. So this is fear because of the enemy of Krishna. Okay, Prabhupada, dreadful, say, that's what is dread. One old devotee said, my dear Lord, when we were away from you, we became so anxious to see you again. and there was great misery in our lives. But then when we do see you, there immediately comes the fear of separation under the circumstances, both when we see you and when we don't see you, we are subject to different kinds of turbulences. This is an instance of contradictory mixture of ecstatic love for Krishna. Such ecstatic love is palatable, and expert critics have compared such ecstatic love to be a mixture of curd, sugar, candy, and little black pepper. So Prabhupada is quoting actually from the from the Chaitanya Charitamrit. Chaitanya Charitamrit, it is mentioned like that. Okay. The combined state is very palatable. Just like curd, you have sugar candy and then little black pepper, no? It's very, very tasty. Okay, so any questions you have up till now? Any questions, any clarification? Anyone has any questions? Okay, so I'll just take the last one and then we'll continue our discussion tomorrow. Jugupsarati, restriction of the heart, chitta nimilanam, arising from experiencing disgusting things, aridya anubhavach, is called jugupsa, disgust, jugupsa syat. In this state, spitting, tatra nistivanam, curling of the lips, vatra kunanam, and uttering contemptuous words manifest. Kut sanadaya, when this jugupsa appears because of rati, rater anugraj jata, it is called jugupsa rati. Sa jugupsa ratir mata. Again, this jugupsa is because there is a primary rati, first thing, and sometimes it's not arising from Krishna. That was very clearly made when Rupa Goswami said, but from material body or other things. So now let's see what is the example. Now there are three things which happen when this Jugupsa Rati appears. One, there is spitting, curling of lips, and uttering contemptuous words manifest. And Vatra Konana means curling of the lips. Now the classic example is, my lips curl in distaste. This is a very, very famous verse spoken by Yamunacharya. Yadavadi mama cheta Krishna padara vinde navanavarasya dhamadi udhamani udyatam ratum asit tadavadi bhatanari sangame smaryamane bhavati mukvikar shusht nisivanam cha. So nisivanam cha, nisivanam is also here. You can see here in the nisivanam is there. Spitting. Since my heart, Mama Cheta, has become eager to play, Udyatam Rantum Asid, at the lotus feet of Krishna. Yadavadi, Krishna Padaravinde, who is the abode of ever fresh rasa. Nava Nava Rasya Dhamanya. Please remember, Yamunacharya is relishing rasa. That means, you can understand it is bhava bhakti, because primary rati has to manifest for Jugupsa also. So it is primary rati. That is the most important thing for us to know. Otherwise, that contempt is coming from a material thing, then it will be criticism, it will be offense. But this is, arising from there is a primary rati, and that's why the Gaun rati is now manifesting in the form of Jugupsa. When I think of association with women, tadavadi batanari sangame smaryamane, my mouth curls in disgust. Bhavati mukha vikara, and I spit. Shushtu nisthivanam cha. So this is the emotion, and this is actually a pure spiritual emotion. Please remember that also. I heard one of the sannyasis, he himself was there when Prabhupada was giving a lecture. And Prabhupada, the sex life, I spit at it. And actually he, in the class itself, he, he exhibited that, you know, something that, I spit at it, So this emotion is a pure spiritual emotion. Please remember that, jugupsa. But you can see that it is not directly in relation with Krishna, you know. But the other six are in relation with Krishna. Okay, so we have discussed now the seven Gaunrati. Now further verses will describe, further clarification which Rupa Goswami is going to give, that which we will see tomorrow. Any questions, any clarifications anyone has? Any questions? Any clarifications? Up till now, what we have discussed? Okay, so then we'll stop here and tomorrow we'll continue the discussion on this. We will require, okay, we have covered up till 170 slides and 270 is another 100. 160 slides are there, another 160 slides. So we require at least 5 classes, 5 to 6 classes. Hopefully this week, by by this week will weekend, when Saturday and Sunday together, we'll cover and complete this discussion. Thank you very, very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu ki jai. Shri Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai. Hare Krishna.